Hey, what's happening out there? So I'm going to make this video about, and I'm going to talk about halftone versus knockout, and I'm going to talk about, ChatGPT 4, which is or just maybe just regular ChatGPT. I'm not sure what it is that makes these bad images, but I'm going to just talk about those things. And you know, the question on the table is that we've got, the question is halftone or knockout. And so, this is a great image to have this discussion about, right? Because, first of all, this image would be extremely difficult to knock out. So, like traditionally, when I call what I call a knockout, you're going to want to take out all the black. And with this image, especially the way it's been passed around on the internet, you're going to have so much trouble making selections. So I'll show you what I mean. So to do a knockout, and this is just what I call a knockout. Everybody's got their own terminology for different things. I mean, you would take this image and you would upscale it, and it's way too small. I mean, gosh, it's 590 by 393. We can't even do that. We can't even upscale this and actually get a reasonable result. I mean, we'll get something. We'll get something better, but it's not going to be like really good quality. If you were to try to knock this out, your options really, I mean, to get clean cuts is to crank your tolerance up and start making selections. I mean, I'm just going to make that selection. This is not correct. And just hit delete on it, So let's just hit delete on that. Actually, we'll unlock this and hit delete. And then, you want to go in and make adjustments. Let's just go ahead and get rid of this white too. You'd want to go in and get all this stuff, right? So we just sit here and select. That bar will be wherever you don't want that bar to be. That's where that bar is. And so we're just going to select all these things, select it all over. I mean, heck, actually, the best thing you could do probably is just turn off contiguous and just shift select and select all the black all over this whole document and hit delete. All right, so now I've done a knockout, and let's look at the result. And that's what you're going to get. There's no gradient. I mean, this might be a perfectly fine result for some people. And it's not a terrible result. It's actually a lot better than what I'd hoped for. It's really not terrible. But you're going to get a harsh line here. Okay. Pretty much everywhere around this, you're going to get kind of a harsh line. And I don't want to say it's more prone to having some bad edges, but it might be. I mean, what we need to do to be sure, if we did do this technique, is we need to do like a layer mask from transparency, and then select that, and then just do image adjustments threshold. I mean, otherwise, you're really putting yourself out there to possibly have some, some white peeking out because, some semi-transparent pixels. So that's what that's going to look like. And it's honestly not a terrible result. I mean, it's better than I'd thought. This is what you're going to get. Okay. So now if we just revert this, and we approach it from a knockout perspective. I mean, not a knockout, a halftone perspective. So we call that a halftone knockout. And we're going to try to get rid of this white first of all. So we'll just select that and modify and expand, and we'll just kind of go in and try to get rid of that white part. And then we'll put this on black, and then we would do a knockout halftone. So, we could trim it first, right? So we could just turn this off and do image trim. And then we'd want to do the size. So image size. It seems like a lot more steps, but it's really not. Let's turn off resample. Set this to 300. So this is only 8 inches wide. So it's really not a great example of that. But with a black knockout halftone, you know, everything that is black is going to be fully gone, and everything that's gray is going to get half-toned, and you're just going to get a much smoother result. So it looks messier, and at this scale, with it being so small, it might not be. No, it's a superior result. It's superior. See, it's like it's kept some of the texture. We haven't lost everything. So that's really the difference there. I mean, you're just going to get a better result. You're going to keep more fade off. I don't think it's necessarily softer in the case of this image. Actually, there's more ink. But because you've got those dots just kind of tricking the eye, you're keeping more of your design. So I hope that makes sense. Sorry for all the rambling. It's been a long day, but I hope this helps understand the difference between knockout and halftone. And halftone is pretty much always the way to go, unless you've got, like, say, a smooth vector, something that's where you're just knocking out. Like this would be a better example of something. This is not a vector image; it's a JPEG or a PNG. But this would be where you could do a knockout, and it would be smooth. But even this would do better with an actual halftone, because you could halftone that gray and get more softness out of it. In this case, you'd get more softness out of doing a halftone. I mean, pretty much everything. I mean, I'm gonna say almost always, unless you really have a true vector object. If this was already vectored, then you could you could go ahead and you could just turn off the black layer. That would be great. That would be more of a knockout, is once you made all these individual layers and then you just turn off the black. That makes sense to do a knockout. That's what I would really call a knockout, where I would start considering a knockout. Let's just knock out the black. But the terms are interchangeable. It's just the techniques that would be different. Knock out the color, or halftone out the color, which we also call a knockout. So I hope that helps.